Our space has a very different classification system. Interplanetary space. This is the space within the confines of a solar system, defined by the solar winds from the sun. But the space reaches further. Interstellar space. This is the space in between solar systems, beyond reach of any bubbles of plasma, being under the reign of only the black hole at the center of the galaxy. While that might sound dreadful, but we have more complex words. Intergalactic space. The space in between galaxies, that is what makes up 90% of the universe. And the interesting thing is, it is empty. This empty space seems to be inconsistent. We can see this in instances like voids, more commonly known as the Great Nothing, a spherical space spanning around 330 million light years in diameter, or 10 septillion, 526 sextillion, 329 quintillion, 999 quadrillion, 999 trillion, 999 billion, 348 million burgers. To give you a better idea of how empty that really is, we discovered other galaxies including the Adriana galaxy in 1923. But if you place our galaxy, the Milky Way, into the middle of blue voids, we wouldn't have ever known there were other galaxies. So why does this gap in space exist? To answer that question, we must first understand how universe works. Imagine that universe is like a sponge. Galaxies group into clusters. The Milky Way, for example, is a part of Virgo cluster. But if you zoom out, you would see that even clusters form a supercluster. Our Virgo cluster being a part of Lacania supercluster. These superclusters have giant voids of their own. But if we zoom out one more time, we see these massive voids in between superclusters. The biggest being the Buzz void. The short, confusing answer for this is that we think it's because of various fluctuations just after the Big Bang that have evolved and expanded over 13.8 billion years to leave a much lower density of materials than the areas around it, blah blah blah. Let's go back to the Big Bang, specifically 10 to the minus 32 seconds after the Big Bang. At this point, the visible universe is quite small, and when I say quite small, I mean very small. At this scale, you will end up with quantum fluctuation. Look at the air around you. When we zoom in really close to the space in between the atoms, you will see energy spanning in out of existence randomly called quantum fluctuation. But they are so small that they don't really do anything. But if you consider the entire universe to be that small, then these random spawning of energy is going to interfere with stuff, and you will end up with interaction between really simple matter in the universe and light trapped in it being completely confined. Now these interactions cause oscillation, and this continues for about 380,000 years. When the combination happens, or basically the kind of stuff becomes real, the universe forms its first atoms, and because of this, the light is not bouncing around in all and is free to expand out indefinitely into the universe. And so is everything else. So the bottom line is, there's a big gap. Really big. Thanks for watching.